Focus on Rural Bank. Focus on Rural Bank brings to you stories of our various rural banks. We get to learn of the goals they've set, the success stories they have chalked.
We are among the top 10 rural banks in Ghana, and year on year, we record significant growth in almost all our performance indicators.
Adwadifoɔ no na ɔmo baabi ɔmo na ho hiahia yɛntumi ntwa aban sɛ aban na ɛmɛyɛ ne nyina enti bank ne de to yɛ ho so ama yɛkɔsi market no kakraka.
And the hurdles they face over time in the banking sector.
We do have a custom in Wayadin. The buy na yintumi ma loans. You see am aduma yintumi bank of Fiska and ɔmo de tɛtɛ ɔmo
na your problem back one what as a rural bank say you pick it up from form na ya na saa de na ko duru su no where we are was na some kra mo you rural bank ofi say baby a true rural bank intimi so.
Make a date with me and I, Eva Hackman, will be your host for this program.
Focus on rural banks, bringing rural banking closer to the people.
Macrowatch and Lesbeth Multimedia. Honestly, you've done a wonderful job for us at Association of Rural Banks this year by handling our social media so excellently. We really appreciate you and we want to say thank you. We look forward for a better year where your work will be more than excellent. We thank you. May God bless you and expand your business. Bye. Focus on rural banking. Association of Rural Bank, it's our duty to play an advocacy role for all the rural banks. This time round, we want to spread the news across to each and every one at any corner in Ghana that rural banks exist and they are meeting the need of the rural folks. Are you being part? If you are not, please, this is the time. Look in your catchment area. Look at the rural bank around and go and do business with them. And you will never regret doing that. Thank you so much for being part of us. Rural Bank, advocacy for development. Rural and Community Bank, together for progress.
Focus on rural banks, bringing rural banking closer to the people.
Yes, so and this branch of unit of Kua, in fact, as we said, it is open to members and the public and also private societies.
All that I want to add is that we want to assure members that we will ensure safety and soundness of your deposit. We will give as much as possible very competitive rate, and then we will also ensure that we manage the funds efficiently. Now, the issue is that if we know the financial sector these days, there are a lot of financial companies going down. That is why the composition of the board will even have one of the credit union managers, so that he actually will know exactly what is going on. We want transparency, and people will understand and know that we are not hiding anything. And we are actually taking charge and then securing members' funds. Thank you.
Today I'm a CEO. We don't want to be accountable. No matter what the portfolio you hold, you are still accountable to that board who appointed you. No matter their qualification, their attitude, or whatever, we still remain accountable under these structures. What is the responsibility of the board? Then any direction your manager takes is fine, because you don't know. So let's make efforts to know what we want to accomplish. And so we practice good governance. If you see that the board is behaving in a way inconsistent with the spirit and letter of your bylaws, it is your responsibility as individual board members to draw attention to the whole board. We also have a responsibility to govern the credit union and the relationship with manager. You guard the relationship with your manager. And I talked about the fiduciary duty to protect the assets and monitor and control.
Directing a staff to do either branch A or branch C is not a duty of the board of directors. But I personally suggest that maybe the manager in consultation with the board can do that. Because if it happens that the manager or the CEO alone takes that decision without consulting the board, and later there is something that happened at the branch, you find the board either wanting or making sure that maybe we have to either defend the manager. Because you know very well that the credit unions are for members. And let's say a branch manager at a different branch or a location may be doing something wrong, whereby maybe the manager at the head office may not be aware.
The chairman is a very important pillar of the board, and there is no doubt about that. It's very important because if the board has to work together, the chairman plays a very important role. But in the credit union system, we are all equal. We are not like shareholders in the banks. The banks, if you have 10 shares and I have 2 shares, I have more power than you, and I have more authority. That is not our principle. No matter how many shares you have, you are still equal to any other members, and any rule that applies to the membership also applies to you. Your relationship with your manager is based on trust, backed by rules that you develop. Governance is all about rules. It's not about you being there to do the actual thing. It's about developing those rules that will hold everybody accountable.
My name is Pawati Pamnani Kabs, and I'm doing a presentation on the credit union database system that we are currently generating. What is this database? It basically contains monthly data and half-year reports that you are supposed to submit at the end of the month and at the end of every half year or end of year. Why this database? Basically to serve as a monitoring system for CUA to use. What are the objectives of coming up with this system? One, we want the association to have all relevant data of the various credit unions that exist in the country. So, for instance, you should be able to know if there's a credit union existing in somewhere in the Upper West region. Do they know the directors? Do they know when the board members were assumed position, when they are supposed to go off? Basically, almost every data that is needed, the credit union will have that. Currently, I hear it's a challenge, and so they do have some information about some credit unions, but not all credit unions. And some of the information are also scattered. Now, the idea of coming up with this database is to have everything in a central form, so that as soon as they need that information, quickly with a click of a button, they can get that information. Also, the database will help us to generate relevant reports. What do I mean by relevant reports? For instance, half-year reports, monthly reports that KUA themselves need. Some report that they need to send to Bank of Ghana as a regulator to see what is going on and how people within the credit union as the domain.
As it has been said already, it is a cloud-based application. So most of you have the smartphones. You can, as of now, even type in cudbase.org. That's cudatabase.org. And you will have access to this rate. Why this is important is that in this age of technology and the digital age, be able to access information everywhere.
The second objective or aim of the National Association is to develop the competences and skills of the human resource within the movement. The third one is to set standards for financial cooperatives. So when it comes to, if you look at even the current LI, you realize that Bank of Ghana did not say that the Credit Union Supervisory Agency will set standards, but it said that the Credit Union Supervisory Agency, in consultation with the Credit Union Association, set standards. So it means that even the legislation within the various countries recognize the role of National Association in setting standards to regulate credit unions within their areas. The next one is to enable the movement to benefit from economy of scale through shared services. So the movement have to benefit from something, but if you want to negotiate and do things on our own as individual credit unions, they will have a challenge. I always tell managers of various credit unions that, now if you look at the American system, when I'm talking about developed credit unions, I think American system is one of the well-developed credit unions. Now, within the American system, if you read the history of American credit union movement, those who drive the change were managers of various credit unions. It wasn't board members. It is the managers of the credit union. For instance, the introduction of ATM services for credit unions throughout the country started with 11 CEOs from some credit unions in California. They decided that, no, we want to also compete in the financial landscape. We needed our members to have access to their money. Let's come together through economy of scale. And then, when they started, another credit union would join, this one would join, this one would join, and then throughout the US, all of them actually came on board.
And then last but not the least, we have to look at the stabilization scheme. Under the shared services, we look at the marketing. All of us have marketing budgets, but to put our resources together for us to have a common platform, a common pool
so that we can advertise and advocate for credit unions in the country. That is supposed to be the responsibility of the National Association. Information technology, information communication, and communication technology, that is the function of the National Association. And the last but not the least, the Central Finance Facility. In fact, the Central Finance Facility is the pillar of the Ghana Credit Union movement.
I think this year is a very big gathering now. Last year wasn't like that. This year, it means that we are growing. And always I come here because I'm also a member of one credit union, which is the Legon one. And then we are strong.
If a credit union is registered by Department of Cooperative and not licensed by BOG, can that credit union operate? If he decides not to come under what?
The LI 2225 says that no one can operate a credit union business unless that credit union is licensed. And before the credit union will be licensed, that credit union should have been registered by the Registrar of Cooperatives, which means that only registered cooperatives can apply for the license. Now, the emphasis is that you cannot do business unless you are licensed. Therefore, from the position of the law, no credit union can operate without the license. When there is a conflict between the LI and then the cooperative degree, which one supersedes the other? Now, let's look at it this way. The LI, no LI can supersede any parent law. But the situation is that we have two parent laws. One of them is the Cooperative Societies Act of 1968. And then we have the Non-Bank Financial Institution Law, Act 774. Now, the Cooperative Societies Act also have an LI, which is the LI 604. And then the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Law has an LI, which is LI 2225. Now, in law, if two laws conflict, then the later law that was passed actually supersedes the earlier one. Now, if you look at the two laws critically, that is the Cooperative Societies Act, and then its LI, and then you look at the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Law and its LI, you realize that all the registrar functions actually has remained with the Department of Cooperatives. And then the inspection functions has been lifted from the Cooperative Society Act and then repeated again in the LI. That tells you that the supervision functions that was supposed to be conducted by the registrar has been transferred in the new law to the central bank.
But the next point is trying to say that we belong to non-financial banking institution. That is where I have difficulty. Now, if that is not the case, I want to find out from Nane Japan that are we credit union, cooperative credit unions, or we are under non-banking financial institution. I think the two must be clear. You understand? We cannot marry the two and say that credit union is supposed to be in, because the two has its own regulations. So he should make it clear for us to know.
And at that time, Bank of Ghana said, whether credit unions like it or not, they have to be supervised under the non-banking financial institution law. Then whoever wrote that is not possible. We don't belong there.
Once we pay dividend, that is where the crux of the issue is. Once you pay dividend to your members, then that means that you are appropriating part of your profit, and that then makes you to pay tax.
Now, the position of the tax. We are not paying tax because probably we are cooperatives. But every year, the government comes up with a Finance Act to exempt organizations from payment of corporate tax. And so, under that, in most cases, they recognize non-profit making organizations as institutions that should be exempted from tax payment. And as such, cooperatives are not profit-making organizations, and that is why we are always exempted from the tax. Now, if we position ourselves as profit-making, then of course we are deviating from what we are doing and we're supposed to pay that.
If we are leaders, we must impact on people's life, but ensuring that it continues even if we are not there. In every institution, one of the sustainability measures is for every board member or for every staff to be able to say that even X is not in the institution, it will still work.
The licensing publication actually ended. That is, we were supposed to have been licensed by 31st March. We realized that that time was too short. And so we made a proposal to the central bank to extend it for us. In fact, we got experience from other countries shows that when a new law is published, the societies are normally given a longer time to prepare themselves to comply in the licensing.
I know the most important person to sign the account would be the CEO, because he oversaw all the expenditures that was done in that account. So if the accounts are faulty today, the wrong person to ask would be the board of directors, because they may not know what is there. So at the end of the day, in terms of accountability of how those funds are spent, it's the CEO. The board depends on the CEO to make sure that those accounts are done in the right way and they are presented in the right way.
I agree with Jen that it doesn't matter who signs, but the best practice of what I've seen also across Africa and globally, the CEO, for instance, if today something happened to Kua, which is criminal, it is criminal, the two people will be liable, the CEO and the chairman, because the chairman represents the board.
PUSOP is the core, it's the banking solution that we use. That is a credit union software. And so I believe everybody knows PUSOP. It's a software that we use. QuanNet is a digital platform where credit union can do transactions among themselves. And QuanNet is going to provide a platform such that if I am in credit union A, and then I find myself maybe credit union A in Kumasi, I find myself I need money, QuanNet is going to make it possible for me to walk to credit union C in Accra to be able to transact business, withdraw cash or put in cash or whatever. So QuanNet is going to make it possible for us to operate our entities as branches of the whole. PTech actually is the entity that we are going to create to take over the management of QuanNet and PUSOP to drive the technological needs of the movement. We have plans to reorganize PUTRA to make it more attractive to
our members and then the public as well.
Joy Pupi, who is the first vice, and then Mr. William Gidisu, second vice, KUA board. Mr. Isaac Amuriaga is the treasurer, and then Mr. Yusuf Ni Adi is the assistant treasurer. He is around. Members of the board include lawyer Simon Gaga. We also have Mr. Steven Van Kamasa, Mr. Thomas Azuri, Mr. Justice K. Bedu, Mr. Kwesi Asante Dakwa, and Professor William K. Pia. So these individuals are the board members for KUA. We have Mr. Derry Fidelis as the chair. We have Mr. Michael Kwaku Owusu as the secretary, and Ebenezer Asamoah as member. So we will also introduce KUA management. And we have Nana Kwesi Ejeport as the CEO. We have Mr. Stephen Esiama as the Chief of Finance. We also have Madame Lydia Kisei as the Chief of Administration. We also have here with us Mr. Odro Dakon, who is the former General Manager. And we also have Mr. Yao Elsua Yeboah, the past chairman for KUA National Board. Stepping in for the acting registrar is the deputy registrar who is seated here with us. Sir, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much, MC, for the day. Before we commence with the business session, the reason we have the business session is very simple. For the board to report and management also to report to our members here, our delegates and participants here. So when we give a business report, the notion is that credit unions are now business entities. And so we have to give reports on our activities for the past year or 2 years. Board of Directors report. This report highlights some of the activities this board superintended over since our last meeting in May 2016, when our mandate began. The financial report ended December 2017. It's also available for your scrutiny. On behalf of the Board of the Directors, I present this report to the 20th Biennial and Education Conference. This is historic, a unique one, as it also marks the 50th year of our sustainable development of credit unions by the National Association. The period gone by shows signs of a nascent economic recovery, and this was reflected in the growth of KUA-affiliated credit unions. This is against the decreasing treasury bill rate of the central bank, where most of our affiliates' liquid investments depend on. I am pleased to inform you that KUA Capital has now been established and started operations. I trust that all credit unions will involve them to ensure it remains sustainable and competitive on the market. So when we go from here, we expect the door is open, it's now in operation, and so we expect all credit unions to invest in the KUA Capital. I remember I was there in the office, and some credit union had brought their monies to invest, and then we said the time was not due. Now I can tell you the time is due. The time is now. Don't go anywhere. Don't put your money in one basket. Spread it and bring some. Bring majority of your funds, liquid funds, to KUA Capital. We are here to present our stewardship for the full year. Supervisory Committee report.
Chairman, with his permission, I would like to proceed. Introduction. In line with our statutory mandate as outlined in Article 45 of the bylaw of the Ghana Cooperative Credit Union Association, we have evaluated the effectiveness of the control system, the governance process, and risk management of COA. Meetings. The audit report covers the period 1st January 2016 to 31st October 2017. In all, we held 3 business meetings as follows. The first meeting, business meeting, 21st to 23rd September 2016. The second, 15th to 17th March 2017. And the third, 18th to 20th October 2017.
Fellow cooperators, the theme for this biennial conference in line with the 50th anniversary of COA Ghana is 5 decades of sustainable credit development.
We have audited the financial statement of the Ghana Cooperative Credit Union Association, COA Limited, which has been prepared under historical cost convention. We have obtained all the information and explanation in the past. Responsibility. These financial statements are the responsibilities of the directors of the association. Our responsibility is to express an independent opinion on these financial statements based on our audit. Basis of opinion. We conducted our in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. These standards require that we plan and perform our audit to obtain reasonable assurance.
Here you can find consolidated statement of comprehensive income for the year ended 31st December 2017. Let's look at the sources of income here. Under the income, we have interest on loan, interest on shares and investments, premium, loan establishment fees, dues received, rent income, service earnings, CUSOP receipts, sales income at restaurants, affiliation fees, audit income, training income, biennial conference fees, discount on day bills and investments, other income, hostel and conference hall income.
In 2016, we made 308,888.80. Unfortunately, as we were expecting the income to grow, in 2017, we have 81,280. What accounted for the difference? And what are we going to do about it?
As we speak today, you cannot even get them to sit at the table with them. Now, we are all aware of the situation. If you look at our 2017, 18, and 19 budgets, it is unfortunate that we have even projected all the interest into it. You see, and for that reason, if you look at the 2017 accounts, almost 500,000 have been added as interest. If anything at all, then we should consider that it is not possible for us to have got that money even by the end of this year. So for prudence sake, let us remove it from the accounts. That will be the fairest thing, so that the accounts will give us a true and fair view.
It is work in progress because, for your information, the works here are not yet complete. If you go upstairs on this building, you see that a provision is there for another floor to be constructed. And even if you go to the restaurant, it also has the same thing. So the assumption is that next year, or whatever it is, we may propose in our budget, and then we continue with the building. So that is why it is work in progress until we finish the construction of the top floors. Then we continue to keep it as work in progress.
Where are the loans to the account?
We are going to special annual delegates meeting. 2. To enhance timely accountability and assessment, KUA should organize special annual delegate meetings for the consideration of accounts and approval of the budget of the ensuing year. This should be held preferably a day before the ICU day. The accounts and budget should be forwarded to the delegates at least 14 calendar days before the meeting. The top management of KUA and its subsidiaries should be appointed by the National Board in consultation with the Chief Executive Officer. Members of the credit union movement with the requisite expertise, credibility, and experience may first be considered for appointment as board members of the subsidiaries of KUA Limited. To resolve the discrepancies associated with the elections of the board and the committees from primary societies to the national level, KUA should formulate an elections policy that will streamline all election issues in the movement. Investment Committee. In view of increasing cases of investment risks and losses within the industry, primary societies and KUA should, as a matter of urgency, constitute an investment committee comprising of experienced representatives from the board, supervisory committee, and management to avoid future locked-up investments.
The 20th Educational Biennial Conference. Resolution 1, ICU Day. Laid before us is a resolution that each chapter pays 2,000 to support the hosting chapter in the event of ICU Day.
Now, from time immemorial, we use delegate system. And the delegate system is such that at the annual general meeting or biennial conference that discuss issues regarding annual general meeting, normally it is the delegates that discuss it and then pass it.
We have come here for the past 3 or 4 days, and we believe that we have come to equip ourselves, and then we go back with a lot of ideas. We're going to improve on our Communication Act, and then we're going to revive our visions for our primary societies. And when that is done, or those things are done, we believe that our credit unions will continue to be strong and vibrant. And then the APES body will be also strong and also work in their advocacy rules for our primary societies. I want to thank you all for coming and for sharing your mind and ideas with each one of us. And then I know that we are all equipped to go home and do a lot for our primary societies. So thank you all for coming, and God bless us all.
Hi, Leonodea Asari from Accra chapter. Having exhausted everything on our agenda and coming to a successful end, I move that this meeting should be adjourned. Thank you.
Seconded by Richard Daniel-Ansan, I second the motion.
Last birthday, there's someone boy. One a t-shirt over the period. And no cry, time I started in my year, Jumano. A microphone, we baby. Now, my year first t-shirt 2020. Soaring higher and higher now, I started share pay. And I started say train customers in the more. We are about your baby. Your baby, we cried the 7 say. In the end, we are baby whom I am more money. Because Ama ya dance so your peers no. In the so your bedam was my boy. Yamin Shram with one in Tumpo.
To use this opportunity to recommend Lesbeth Multimedia to my colleague, Ura Bank managers and all other banks In fact, they are doing well, especially their focus on rural banking program is actually projecting rural banking. And for that matter, I will encourage all colleagues to come on board and do business with them. Thank you very much.
Focus on rural banks, bringing rural banking closer to the people.
Promotion. LexBet Multimedia, the printing solutions expert, is giving opportunity to corporate institutions to brand themselves at amazing discounts. Oh yes! Buy 2 8x8 branded canopies and get one free. Brand new t-shirts, passbooks, mags, key rings, and various souvenirs at unbelievable prices. For more enquiries, please contact LexBet Multimedia on 0501 583 127 or 0202 522 406. LexBet Multimedia, beyond your imagination.